Short game wise, yes, I can. Long game wise, no. No, I have not.
He's talking the long game.
They played the long game.
They gotta play the long game.
They're experienced and they played the long game.
No, you're talking the long game.
They're experienced and they played the long game.
Very nice.
Long game is back.
It's a great hour. It is the long game. The long game is back. Case, good to see you.
Good to see you, Dave. Cold
What's
up there
new
in Vermont?
over
What's
yeah,
new up there with you?
I'm
got the
going.
beanie
I'm wearing the beanie today. I'm trying to show people a different side of me. I'm trying to show Vermont Dave. I got pants that have a zipper on the side pocket on right now.
Malbon?
Which, by the way, we're like losing guests left and right because of our slander on this podcast. But you know what? We will not. We're gonna give our golf takes. Damn it! This podcast is gonna grow one way or another, and I'm not here to.
Yeah, if we don't like a pair of pants, we're not going to be afraid to say it, even if that cannibalizes some guests.
Yeah. Yes. And then and then it's such an incestual world. So we got this guy next week. We got John Sherman coming on the pod, and he's a great follow on golf. I think his Twitter handle is John Sherman, or is it Practical Golf? Let me just double check before I.
But he is. You're right. He's a great follow, and
He's
a
great follow.
different follow than most kind of golf statistician.
Yeah. Have you been following? Did you start following because I told you about him, or were you following him anyway?
I think he was one of the guys I was following anyway, but kind of, as you pointed him out to me, I've been paying attention a little more. But he's a great follow.
Yeah, he's a great follow.
We're also going to have a couple of long drive guys come on, but they got hit by the PGA show or whatever that's called down there in Orlando.
Yeah.
They got bit by some kind of virus down there, so they're going to be on in a few weeks too. But today's just you and me.
What a scene! What a scene at the PGA show. I guess one day, Case, maybe this podcast will blow up and we'll be live from the PGA show.
Let's make that our only goal to be there next year.
That's our only goal. That's a great goal. I'm pretty sure we could go.
Yeah. I want to go as like a person though, not like as a attendee. I don't even know what that means.
Yeah. We'll be there.
Real quick before we get into golf stuff, I have one quick thing.
Sure.
I meant to do this last week, but I want to give you the floor here for a minute to offer a proper apology. I was Googling something a few weeks ago, long game, and I was trying to find something with us, and nothing was coming up, so I put in Dave's name.
Yeah.
And up came a podcast Dave was on about, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 years ago, like a marketing. I'm not even sure. You could probably tell us, or maybe you couldn't. But Dave was on a podcast about 3 years ago called The Long Game.
Yeah.
So this never came up when we were brainstorming names for weeks and weeks. So do you want to issue an apology? I think we can both exist in this space. I don't think there's much crossover. But I'm going to give you the floor here.
All right. So a couple of years ago, I was on this marketing podcast, and I had this idea of, oh man, this is a great name for a podcast. If one day I start a podcast with my friend Casey, who I haven't talked to in years, I'm going to call it The Long Game. No, that is not what happened.
You played the long game on the name.
I played the long game. I had no recollection. Like I do a bunch of those type of things. I go on a bunch of different like marketing podcasts, and I couldn't tell you the name of the one that I went on 2 weeks ago. So Casey sends me this. He says, like, wait a second, did you know this podcast? There's a marketing, I believe it's a B2B marketing agency. They have a podcast that's called The Long Game, not affiliated with this Long Game podcast. But yes, thank you for calling that out for the people, Case. In case when they go into Spotify and they type it.
Yeah. So if you type in Long Game Dave Gearhart, you might find that before you find us. But one day our goal is to also flip that. That's our second goal.
That's our second.
This is a goals podcast today.
This is a goals pod.
Real quick.
Yeah.
We have to give a shout out. I don't know if you had this on your list, but to our first guest ever, your coach,
oh yeah,
Janko. First ever hole-in-one this past week down at Cabot Citrus Farms, which just opened. Oh man,
Janko, shout out to you, man. He's gonna be listening to this. Shout out to you. We got you on the pod. That's awesome. You know what's crazy? I think about we've talked about hole-in-ones often, right? Janko was on our show a month ago, and as good of a player as he is, this guy can go deep. He's got a 62 to his name. You know, he's probably like a plus 4 if he's really getting after it. Never had a hole in one. So
Crazy.
congrats to you. How fun is that, by the way? When we talk about places to do it, like you go to a sick course with with a good group. I know a couple of guys he was with, and you get a hole in one on that. It's not you playing with some random, matchup on a Tuesday. You go for a good round and you get it. What a feeling.
And I think he said, I messaged him a little bit, but I think you sent this too. It was that course is brand new. It was the first hole in one on that hole, maybe, or
Yeah,
their signature hole.
That's what he said on the gram. He said on Instagram, he said it was the first one. So
You gotta get a plaque for that or something. That's a big deal.
I guess so. Yeah, I'm not deep in the golf architecture and industry world as we've talked about, but this is a course what's the history? They have an amazing place up in Nova Scotia.
Yeah, Cabot Cliffs, I think, it's
Okay.
number one on my bucket list. It's funny. My wife and I were looking once before we had kids. She was like, "Well, if you really want to go to this place, I can go look for like spas in the area." There's not a spa within like I don't know 400 miles of that place.
Oh,
So
really? It's
that's
like
number one on my
that.
bucket list. Yeah, it's if
Is
you're
that
going
is
there.
that like is that what Bandon is like? Like there's nothing around, or is it even more
I
dramatic?
don't know. I've never been out there, but I assume there's a little bit more civilization out there. But
Holy
some
shit.
people
This
have told
place
me,
looks
especially from
unbelievable.
yeah, especially from the Northeast, like it's like a 3 hour flight from like Boston, and then it's a 3 hour drive. It's like you've got to be dedicated to get to this place. But that's the one in Nova Scotia up in Canada. But this is their first U.S. property. I think it's outside the Tampa area. It's like I guess they call it like a soft opening. It's not even really open to the public yet. It's kind of a preview. Um, kind of, I got an email recently because I'm on their marketing list or whatever, saying that I could request a tee time, but there's no chance I'd ever get it. They let me know a few days before. So somehow Janko got down there, hole in one. Shout out to him. I think we asked him in ROB if like hole in ones on par three courses counted, and he was
He
like,
said,
"Yes, until I
absolutely.
get a real one" or something like that. So so funny.
Yeah.
Only took a month for him to change his stance on that. But
That's
shout
how
out to
real
him.
he was. Absolutely, they count. What a feeling! What a
Yeah.
feeling! I wonder what he shot. Jenko we'll have to figure it out. I always think about what I also want a hole in one. I want a hole in one on a day that I shoot like a good low 70s round. I can't go have a 80 82, 81 make a hole in one
Right.
day. I need it for real.
I'm with you.
Because I don't have one, Case. I'm not like you, but
Well,
it's all right.
you're probably one of the more stand-up people I've ever met because you always lead with "I don't have one," but you do have one. But it was on a par three course, you'd say. But
And I was 8.
yeah,
I had
but
driver. I
an eight,
know, but
but an 8-year-old on a par three course, the equivalent has got to be
yeah, it
just
was
as
amazing.
difficult.
It was in the paper. But I want one now. Like when you go
Yeah,
play, and I want to
I'm
see
with
it.
you.
Anyway, all right. We had a weird golf tournament this week. Well, weird in the sense of you and I both realized you texted me on Wednesday, and you're like, "There's golf on right now." The Farmers was moved up out of the week to rightfully so get out of the way of Lamar Jackson and Taylor Swift. So
That's right. Then here's a hot take I didn't see coming. I didn't like it. I didn't like, well, not the tournament I'm talking about. I didn't like the Saturday finish. I know they've done this 2 years in a row. I think
yeah.
for like a dad, a Saturday night finish is even harder than a Sunday night finish. But I was watching the football yesterday, and playoff football, especially these conference championship games, they're
Yeah.
so brutal with the commercials and stuff. I kept having this instinct to go flip over to golf, and there was nothing there, and it just felt unnatural not finishing on a Sunday. I thought the tournament was cool, but I was missing, and I just something in my body. It's like a natural alarm clock. It's Sunday afternoon, Sunday early evening. Golf should be on finishing. It
Yeah,
just
I
felt like I was
agree with
missing
you.
something.
I feel the opposite though. It made me on Saturday when it was Saturday night and I was watching. I was like, "Is it Sunday? Like what?" It was tripping me out all
Yeah.
day. I'm like, "Wait, there's golf right now." Um, what do you think about that move as somebody who's interested in business and media?
Just getting away from the NFL.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even have the numbers in front of you, but in front of me. But anytime you hear this, it's like the highest rated golf tournament of all time is like gets beaten by a week 3 NFL Thursday night football game. It's NFL's
Oh
king.
yeah, I
It
heard. I
makes so much sense.
Yeah.
But still, I would have liked to have it on yesterday during the day. But it makes sense. I saw the LPGA tour didn't move their tournament. So I'm sure they
Then
got crushed too. But people who want to watch golf, it's a good alternative if you're not into football. Who knows?
it didn't help though that I didn't really pay much attention to it. And then maybe Friday afternoon, I looked into the leaderboard, and like this doesn't happen often. This is a PGA Tour event. I didn't know outside of Højgaard, I couldn't tell you any of the names on the first page of the leaderboard. And then
Yeah.
this guy that won, Pavon, he could have been. I thought he was like a journeyman. Like he just, I'm like, oh,
Well,
this is just some random ass guy who's been on tour forever. And then I happen to catch like the last couple holes, and they say he's a PGA Tour rookie. Like, wait, what?
yeah, but I think he is kind of a journeyman, or I don't think he's that old, but he's had a ton of starts on the DP World Tour. So I think he had a good year last year that got him into the tour this year. So it's funny. There's like these Q school guys that are grinding, that are, in college or just out of college, young guys. But then you can also get these guys that come over from the European Tour. So I think they said he won. I don't have it in front of me, but he won his like 50th start on the DP World Tour,
Yeah.
which got him or helped him get here. So he's got a lot of experience. One of the more bizarre tattoos of all time, which has been covered.
I just pulled this up. Casey sent me this. It's
got to
the
be a
top
bad
of his-
translation.
the top of his right hand, he has a tattoo that is. He's French. That he's been in America for a couple years, I guess. Who knows? And on his right hand, he has the saliva that flows. The saliva that flows now will become the tears of joy tomorrow. Printed in English on the top of his right hand in all caps. Casey will make a clip with this, and
Yeah,
man, what does that mean?
I don't know. It has to be a bad translation. It
The
doesn't make sense.
saliva that flows now.
Never get the word saliva tattooed on you. That's a hot take for me.
Look, I got to tell you something. I like sports. I love playing them, but I think I've just descended into a different being where like it feels when you zoom out and you think about life that we take sports so seriously is just this mind fuck that I can't unsee. And then a guy who plays golf for a living has a tattoo on his hand that says the saliva that flows now will become the tears of joy. Look, I believe in hard work. I believe in, capitalism and all, and go make something awesome. But it's just fucking weird to me.
It's very weird, but it worked. Hard to argue with results here. But to your point about the leaderboard being kind of underwhelming, it's hard for me to tell if this is like a product of the live defections and we're just getting thin, or just the guys aren't playing well. Obviously, we didn't have Rory in the field next week, or coming up this week, sorry, at the Pebble Beach Pro-Am is going to be probably the best field they've ever had, and all the best players because it's one of those signature events. But I don't know. Not a hot start to the season so far as brand names go, but maybe making some new notable names on tour to replace.
Check this out. This was actually finally like a normal number, right? The winner was 13 under. If you go back, the American Express, the winner Nick Dunlap 29 under. Sony Open was 17. The Sentry Chris Kirk minus 29. I mean,
well, if you went back to last week, we went through this and I said, well, next week you're going to see something in the 12 to 14 range. There you go.
Cut
13.
it.
I made no money off that, but
you threw in a little Pavon. You threw in a little Pavon action, though.
I did. I won a little bit on him, but not enough to take away the sting of what I lost on Sam Burns the week before. But that's on me for betting on.
All right, and
Sam
we're
Burns.
out to they're out to Pebble this week. Have you played either Torrey or Pebble?
I've never been really out in that part. I've
Is
spent
that
a lot of time.
is that something that's interesting to you? Like, does Pebble Beach? Where do those? I guess Torrey and Pebble are different, but do either of those have any like lust? If you could just go tomorrow, is that something you're interested in?
I wouldn't. I think Pebble would be on my list before Torrey, but I did see this week. Do you know what it costs to play Pebble? If you're obviously most of the time you got to stay there, but we're just talking about if you can get a tee time, not staying there. What is it? Green fee.
I'm ready to learn from you. I'm literally ready to learn from you for real today. Isn't this like just this prototypical, like you're at a kids gathering, you're with a bunch of other dads, they talk about golf, you know what it costs to play? You know what it costs to play at Pebble? So what is the answer?
Take a guess.
Well, there's something I do know that everybody says you have to stay on site. You can't mention the word Pebble among golfers.
But there is. I did find a fee outside of staying there. So just give me like a
greens fee.
Yep.
I would say it's $500.
$625 plus a $55 for a cart.
$625.
But I saw something going around social media this week that there's I don't even know how rumors get out about this stuff, but rumors that it's going up to $1,000 next year, 2025. Would you
Inflation.
spend $1,000 to play anywhere outside of Augusta? Maybe.
Yes, probably.
Where would you pay $1,000 to play?
Look, I'm so addicted to golf right now, and everything in golf is expensive. And you could tell me it's $500. You could tell me it's $900. Like I don't know. So I would pay $1,000. For me though, $1,000 round of golf has to be like a Pebble level experience. Like it needs to be a day. Like Pebble to me would be about the memory, like your whole life. You see this course playing on TV, you played on Tiger Woods. Now I played on TrackMan. It just is such a mythical thing. I would have a harder time. Like I'd have to have that kind of story. It'd be harder for me to be like, oh, I'm playing some course in Wisconsin. It's amazing, but it's blah blah. It's got to be some, like, I see it in my head. It's mythical, right?
There's something about Pebble Beach that I know. Like I'd pay the $1,000. I'd go. I'd do this whole trip playing around it, and I get to that. What's the hole? The par 3, and I just shank 3 of them. Like I wouldn't be able to hit enough balls there. The caddies would be like, "We got to get going." I'd be like, I blew this whole $1,000 on these shots.
Yeah, right. Because the course, like, look, it looks amazing. The course looks amazing, but like that
dangerous
also just
too, right?
Seems to be the type of course that, like, it could probably be a little bit rainy with 30-mile-an-hour gusts the day you're playing, and like it is no fun to go play golf in the wind, and then to be at a place like Pebble in the wind, like, hey guys, we're having a real fucking good time.
And look, I've never done the Scotland Ireland trip, but if you're going to spend a lot of money to do that, you're going to assume it's going to be bad weather. It's part of the experience, right?
Yeah.
If you
I know,
get hit
like,
or miss out there, that's tough.
I know maybe 2 people. I don't know. I'm not like that. I don't have that many friends that are into golf in this way. I know maybe 2 people who have done one of those like hardcore Ireland, Scotland trips.
Yeah.
Every one of them was like, dude, by the 4th day, like the 3rd day, you're just so ready to go home.
Yeah. You've had enough mutton for the week. Yeah.
Like, yeah, you're soaked, you're freezing, you're not hitting it good. Like, it seems awesome.
You've been taking it from passive aggressive asshole caddies, which is like everyone says is the best thing over there, like sarcastic Irish caddies. Right. But yeah.
Hey, but let me answer a different question. Would I put up the money to go to Pebble Beach and play 18 holes and film it for the future Long Game Pod YouTube channel with you? Of course.
Yeah, and we'll clip this part where we're saying I will shank 3 of them in a row, and I'll fulfill that destiny. I can guarantee it.
When we get there. So anyway, what do we know about the event this week? Good. So, field is good or no?
Big changes. And this is an event for years. Like you always hear Pebble Beach is one of the iconic tour stops, but I think the last 10, 15 years, it's kind of gotten, as far as prestige, kind of dragged down a little bit because the best players in the world weren't playing there. And because they had this big Pro-Am as part of it. So this is where you'd see Bill Murray and the celebrities. And it's funny, I saw an article last week about this because this is now, it's going to be one of the signature events. It's the second of 8. So you get the best top whatever players in the world, 70 or so. And they're actually, to make it more appealing for the pros to play, I think they cut it from 170 guys to down to 70 this year, or 180 to 80. But they've really set the bar higher for the amateurs that are playing, or the celebrities. It's just athletes now. There's no more Bill Murrays, no more. The title I saw was like, bye Bill Murray, Ray Romano, and Steve Young. Like, it's just going to be Scheffler.
Great
Rory.
Idea.
It's Tom Brady.
That's a great idea. Don't you think it's a great marketing? That's a great marketing move for them. It's kind of like it ups this. I was just gonna say, like, in my head when we start talking about Pebble, you see Bill Murray. They talk about Bing Crosby history. Move on from that. This is hot.
And they've changed the AM part of this to 2 days, just Thursday, Friday. So no AMs on the weekend. There's the balloons again.
The fucking
one
balloons.
Of my favorite.
Why?
Parts of
we use Zencaster. If you're listening and you want to sponsor this pod and give us this account for free, let me know. But
then you can check it on YouTube. Every time we raise our hands, there's balloons.
Don't you think this is a cool move? Is this a good move? It feels like a good move.
It is, and I think it made me think, like, this was so strategic. So when the tour came to them and said, we want to make this tournament a signature event, which means you're going to get way better fields than you've been getting recently. That means cutting the field from 180 to 80. You're going to lose a lot of players, but you're going to lose a lot of the AMs too. But it made me think, because they're doing this and it's in a move to attract better players, how miserable do you think it is for them to play with amateurs in these things? Like the Amex last week with Nick Dunlap winning, he was playing probably with some, I don't know, some credit card executive. He's trying to change his life, and this guy's probably ratting it around the course. So I always wonder, like, how much of a pain in the ass are those? There's always the practice round Pro-Am things for these tournaments, like on Tuesday or Wednesday, but the ones that are actually in play, interesting. And them cutting it out for the weekend here means that the best players can focus on, watching or trying to win the tournament versus watching.
You know what I'm thinking about right now? There would be nobody funnier than to have you. You would be so nervous. You wouldn't even play a hole. I feel like if you're with Nick, that like just because you're like the kindest, like most courteous, like socially aware, like
Yeah.
you don't ever like. I do picture there's got to be guys out there who are just literally just banging it around, and they have no. Come on, pick it up, Jim. Let's go. Nick Dunlap's trying to win a tournament here.
That first tee shot I had with like people lining the tee box, I'd be like, I'm just gonna drop one. Like, you're out of the tournament, then I'm like, that's fine. I'm not here to kill anyone.
Yeah, that is so true. That is a lot of pressure.
I don't think there's cuts this week either. Bigger purse.
No cuts.
So
it's straight. It has to be athletes, though. There's no actors, no celebrities.
That's what I read, and I haven't been able to find. We're recording this on Monday morning.
No Macklemore. Isn't Macklemore's usually Macklemore's here? Schoolboy Q, right?
I don't think there's any of those this week. No. Wow. Even Blocky's probably sitting out this week. I haven't been able to find the list yet. I don't think they've released it. Probably. Again, we're recording Monday morning. They're probably we're waiting to see how last night's football games go, to see who they could cherry pick off these teams, like a Kelsey or a Mahomes if they had lost. But I don't think Jared Goff is a golfer, so we'll see.
No. Real quick, Phil.
Go
ahead. No, I'm going to take us somewhere different. I was going to say, Phil, about Pro-Ams. Funny that you mentioned how much they hate that. In that Shipnuck book that I read about Phil, apparently there was something years ago where he won a big tournament, like in a leg of the FedEx Cup, and he didn't want to fly. He wanted to play in the tournament the next week in the FedEx Cup or whatever, but he didn't want to do the practice round. He just wanted to skip over all the bullshit and just go play. And he had just won, and he withdrew from a FedEx Cup event legitimately because he didn't want to go muck it up in a Pro-Am. And a big part of the changes that he wanted to make on the tour was like to cut out all that bullshit. And I do think that would be exhausting. Obviously it's part of the job, but like every week you got to do these practice round Pro-Ams and all this nonsense with the sponsors, man.
Well, that's where a lot of the money's coming from, right? But you know what, a good solution in Phil's eye to that was get in bed with some scary motherfuckers, as he would say, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Now your Pro-Am partner is a guy with a hacksaw in his office.
Don't read the Phil book. You need to read the Shipnuck's Live book. So I've been reading that. It's amazing because it's not just a golf book. It's basically a history lesson. He unpacks, he explains the U.S. and Saudi Arabia relationship, 9/11, the Bush administration in the 80s feeding weapons to the Saudis. He goes deep, and I'm like seeing all this through a different lens now. It's pretty fucking wild.
All right, I'm going to take us from U.S.-Saudi relations to Tom Brady real quick. So just because he's on this list of one of the confirmed people, it made me think of our very brief but our Tom Brady story. Do you remember this from back in the day?
Wow, Case. I was wondering if we'd ever get to tell this on the pod. Yes. Why don't you set it up for us?
Sure. So Dave and I were playing at my golf course in the greater Boston area. TB12.
It's called Newton Com. If you've ever been there, Newton Commonwealth.
Sagamore Springs. So Tom Brady's father was a member for a bit at this club, but Dave and I played. We finished. We're having lunch, and the club pro, great guy, comes over, and he was just sitting, kind of bullshitting with us. And he says, "Can you believe all these grown men acting like little kids over there just because Tom Brady's on the putting green?" And Dave and I just look at each other and we're like playing enough cool. We're like, yeah, that's ridiculous. He's a normal guy. Like, you got to give him some space. So the pro gets up and walks away. And Dave and I just kind of look at each other. I'm like, all right, you go to the bathroom. You pretend to go to the bathroom, go take a picture of him, and then come back. Like, we acted the exact same way as we were just criticizing everyone else.
Well, okay, but what was amazing about seeing him up there was like that was like late July. The place was absolutely dead. We could have been the only people up there. That was insane.
Do you remember the best part of it? And you could probably fact check this. It was Giselle's birthday.
I feel
We
like
looked
I
it up.
remember you looked that up.
And he was
Wow.
he was
So
gone.
did we have a scoop?
Early-
We had a scoop before we had a scoop.
Early signs of a stress test there. Yeah, there were some
Look,
issues. That was probably
for-
7 or 8 years before they got divorced. But
Case, we
Still.
reacted. We were the only people up there. We go and we see Tom Brady and his dad on the putting green. There was nobody around. Sure, we scrambled into the bathroom to take a photo. Do you know how many uncomfortable?
hold on.
What?
We didn't scramble into the bathroom to take a photo of Tom Brady in the bathroom. That's how that just came out.
Let's
From where
edit.
the bathroom is, there's a window. You could see the putting green.
We took a
Let's
time.
make
Yeah,
that clear.
Yeah, I sent. I reached under the stall and anyway, kid in high school got suspended for that. You can't stick a smartphone under a camera.
No, we
So-
don't endorse that on this podcast.
No. So anyway, so we saw him. I will say though, we reacted in the most like mature way. Do you know how many people talk about? We've talked about this on early podcasts. How we would act if you meet somebody famous. How many people would? Oh, I'm gonna fucking run down there. You know the amount of people that had to run down there and make an uncomfortable situation. Where like we were like, no, this is almost so cool. He's just
Yeah.
there with his dad. Like we're not gonna go down and be like, Tom, hey, what? How you doing?
The coolest thing you can do around someone who's super famous is just not acknowledge them.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
Because then I want them to be like, but who's that guy? Who are
Yeah,
you?
that guy who doesn't want my attention, I'm gonna become best friends with him.
This is
And
dating
that's
101.
how we became best friends with Tom Brady.
Yeah. That was
so
great. Oh, wait,
we
I
gotta
have
go-
a follow-on story for
go ahead.
this. This is, I play golf with a guy up here. He says to me, he goes, and he has a buddy. I remember this story. I played with this guy twice, and he's told me the same story each time. So he has a buddy, his uncle or something, or his cousin. He lives down in that area. He's also a member at the same club you're at. And he tells me, he goes, yeah. And at that place, Tom Brady Sr. is a member. And one time we're down there and we're playing and we go in the locker room and I'm talking to Tom Brady Sr. at his locker. And he takes his ring out of his locker. He looks at the guy. He puts I'm not even going to do it because it's sick. He puts his ring finger in his mouth, licks his finger clean, takes his ring out of his locker, puts it on and goes, sorry, what were you saying?
Wow. Yeah, that's a mic drop.
This guy's told me the exact same story twice, and so I don't know if that's true. I'm assuming he wouldn't lie about that, but there you go. 2 Tom Brady Jr. and Senior stories in one day for you.
Love that. Back to the AT&T. We skipped over the title sponsor challenge, but I think you're pretty good with that. Do you have AT&T up in Vermont? Or you have like a satellite phone? How does it work? Do you have service up there?
Yeah, we have Starlink, thanks to Elon Musk. Everybody hates Elon. I love him.
Wait, do you really have
we
Starlink?
So no, we don't. We live in an area where I just have Verizon. Maybe you've heard of it. But where Exit 5 is, where my in-laws live, until about 2 years ago, the whole time we were dating, they had legitimately no service at their house, and they sent up Starlink, and now they have insanely fast internet, and it's pretty fucking cool.
It's so funny. I have a in-law parent house upstate Vermont situation as well. Zero service there also. So maybe we'll get into the Starlink game. And again, if Starlink wants to sponsor the pod, we'd be happy to have Elon on.
Sure.
Think he golfs? I don't think he has the patience for that.
I don't think he does. No, you can't golf if you work 20 hours a day.
No, I'm with you.
All right.
Amex stuff.
talk about
Sorry, not
everything
Amex. The Pebble Beach thing this week. We can get into picks in a second.
Yeah.
Anything else there? You've never been out there,
No.
right? I didn't ask you that.
I've never been out there. I've always said it as the like, oh, if you could go play one call, like, oh, I'd love to take my dad and go to Pebble Beach, but I don't even know if that's true. I would need to do some more research.
Yeah. One thing here, this is last week. I'm at a bar, sitting at the bar with my wife having dinner, and there's a guy next to me talking to his wife, and I'm just eavesdropping, and he's talking about going out to this event. I don't know who he is, I don't know what he does, but he was talking about going out to this event. And his exact quotes, I took notes. He said, "I'm just going for the free Rolex."
What?
And then he also said this. You like this? He also said later in the conversation, and I don't know what any of this means. I didn't pick up any context, whatever. He said, "Yeah, I want to go to the Masters, but he wants to go to Sweden that week." So a little bell went off in my head. I was like, Sweden? Maybe there's some synergy here. I know we're huge in Sweden, but this guy, I don't know who the guy was. He probably works in some kind of works for someone who sponsors that or whatever. But that just kind of gave me a little bit of a vibe of the weekend there. Maybe I'm just a lot of guys there, just there for the free Rolex. No idea what that means, but
a lot of Malbon at this event, I bet.
Yeah. Man,
This is elevated. This is a big time event. Then this is the first.
Yeah.
This is the first big one of the year.
Second, the first one was the Century.
But
you can skip, I think, one or two. So Rory had skipped that first one, but he's back for this one because he's
we got
dominating
everybody
in Dubai for 2 weeks.
We got everybody. We got 20 of the 30 of the basically every top player in the world.
Yeah, I mean the point of these tournaments were to get the best players in the world playing against each other more often, and that was these 8 events. And they gave them some leeway on they could miss 1 or 2 if they had different commitments. But this was kind of the reaction to Live when they came up with this
cool.
idea.
I'm excited now. Case, you know what? You're really doing your job as the half of this podcast. You're really holding us down with the tournament knowledge. I feel like you come well prepared. I appreciate that.
My full-time job is clipping Anthony Kim highlights, but my part-time job is prepping for this. You want to do some picks?
Let's talk about that let's do picks for a second. But isn't that funny? Casey has been on Anthony Kim for forever, and he's texted me this week. And this week, in the past week, who knows when this is going to come out? But the past week, this rumor about Anthony Kim coming back and going to Live or PGA Tour circulated on the internet. Casey happened to have, tells you what about him, a complete sicko. A month ago or something, he says he happens to get a notification that there's an Anthony Kim Ryder Cup. The 2008 Ryder Cup is on. So he DVRs
there's a documentary on it on the Golf Channel. Yeah.
Okay. So you filmed the documentary. That's what it is.
So that was probably like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I was just watching Golf Channel one night, and that was on. It was the 2008 Ryder Cup. I think it was called. I don't even know. It was some Golf Channel production. It had a lot of interviews with like Azinger. It was pretty well made, but I'd never seen it before. And I was telling you that's like the only Ryder Cup since whatever one was before the '99 Brookline one, which really got me into it. That was the first Ryder Cup that I really hadn't watched. I was in college and I just wasn't tuned in that day, but I remember catching a little bit of it, but I don't remember too much of the, there's not a lot of lasting memories from that. It's probably one of the more, or the least star power on a U.S. Ryder Cup team in the last, 40 years. It's a lot of Boo Weekleys and those kind of guys, but they really play well. But this was, of course, I'd forgotten where Anthony Kim really kind of announced himself as like the next Tiger, just the way he played. But there was 2 things I'd never seen before. I didn't remember. One was when he walked off the green after beating Sergio like 5 and 4, going to the next tee, and had no idea. But I had this on my notes last week to talk to you about before any of this AK stuff even came out. It's crazy.
It's amazing.
And then there's this thing about him saying he was gonna whoop Sergio's ass. But anyway, there was this. As soon as the news broke last week that Anthony Kim was maybe in talks to come back to the tour or Live, I just wanted to like put that out because one of my favorite clips of Azinger saying like, "I told you I was going to whoop that ass," like quoting Anthony Kim. And I couldn't find it anywhere online, anywhere. So I'm like, how do I rip this off my DVR? So I set up like 4 chairs and like something, and I screen recorded it with my iPhone, which is, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there saying like there's a lot easier ways to do that, but I just posted it. And let me tell you, the people are hungry for Anthony Kim content because that went super viral for us.
It went super viral, and like just people are. I'm like, I kept checking my Twitter, and I'm like getting all these mentions, and I'm like, what the heck are these people talking about? And I see 25,000 views, 50,000 views, 100,000 views. It's at 144,000 views, which is amazing. Anyway, go and check out the Long Game Podcast on Twitter. So the field is great this week. We got all the best guys in the world. Let's do our draft, Case.
So why don't we do our picks? So as everyone who follows the show knows, we've been doing this season-long Grinders Tour thing where we try to pick 3 guys outside the top 150. Now, when you have an event with only 80 people, you're not going to get, I think there's only 4 guys outside the top 150. So we're going to give Dave his wish so he can pick Patrick Cantlay. You can pick anyone here. You won last week. Just real quick, at the Farmers, I had picked Johnny Vegas, Daniel Berger, and Kevin Streelman. Johnny Vegas and Daniel Berger missed the cut, and Kevin Streelman withdrew after hurting his back after coming out of the rough one day. So I made $0 for the second week in a row in this thing. You
baby.
had Davis Riley cut, but Maverick McNeely finished tied for 37th. That was $40,000 for you. And Parker Cootie, which I didn't know there was a couple Cooties in the field last week.
Did I pick the right one?
I think so. Parker, I believe, tied for 25th, 66,000. What was it? $66,262. I've never seen this, and 50 cents. Never seen the cents included on the money list. But add those together, you picked up about $100,000 on me this week. You're still down about, I don't know, 1.2 or 1.3 million. So picking these guys, huge purse this week. Maybe you can make a bigger comeback. I'll give you. Quick,
how many events does somebody like a Parker Cootie? How many does he play in a year? Do you think?
What tour? I assume is he full-time status or is he?
Let's just say all in money tournaments where he could earn 60 grand. Basically, I want to see like, how is that? What kind of living can you make? So give me a number. He made 62 grand this week. Let's say he does that every week this year. How many tournaments is that going to be?
Again, I don't know what he's qualified for, but I'm going to guess
20,
15 to 20. Yeah.
So that'd be a cool 1.24. If he plays in 20 tournaments, he brings in 60 grand a tournament.
Well,
that's a pretty good way to
after taxes.
A good way to make it. That's a good after taxes. After taxes, it's basically nothing. But you're right, Case.
Yeah, you're breaking.
It's not a bad way to make a living. Make a cool $1.2 million by finishing in the top 30 of a PGA Tour event every week. That's the mule class, I guess, as they call it.
And again, think of all those guys from like the 80s and 90s. Who are probably like giving lessons still. They're probably not too happy about their.
All right, so I got the first pick.
Well, you won last week. I'll give you choice. You want first and let's see if we can figure out how a snake draft works this week. But you can go first.
No, I'm going to defer because I don't think you're going to pick my guy. So I'm going to get him anyway. So I'm going to defer.
Interesting. Well, I'm going to pick my guy. I'm taking Rory anytime I can. So, okay. Rory, welcome to Team Casey.
This is big. This is the first time you've been able to pick Rory.
Yep, and you get two here.
I'm still not familiar. I'm gonna take Scotty, and come on, I'm gonna take Mr. P, Patrick Cantlay.
By the way, he does have a new hat. We brought this up a few weeks ago. It may be still Gold. What was he? Not Goldman Sachs.
Is it Malbon?
Well, it was Goldman, right? But it's a different. Yeah. No, maybe it's a different. I don't know. Maybe they have some new brand within there, but. I'm telling you, it was a new hat because he's got DeWalt on the side because he's a handyman. All right, so you went Scotty Cantlay, I had Rory, so I got two here. I'm going to shock you a little bit here. I'm going to take Max Homa just because he's a California kid. Yeah. But I'm actually, I don't know if he's still outside though, whatever. But I'm going to take one of your picks from last week. I'm going to pick Maverick McNeely. I could pick anyone here, top 80. I'm going Maverick McNeely, just because as a fan of datagolf.com, you can go over great course history tools. Maverick McNeely, almost a shot and a half stroke gain at Pebble Beach. One of the top guys performing there the last 5 years. So I'm gonna hope that continues and try to take some of the magic he had last week. So
wow, don't hurt him, Case. Pulling out some strokes gained here to inform your picks. Okay,
I made $0 the last 2 weeks, so I gotta get this started up again. All right, you got one more.
Don't let him get hot. I got one more. I like how you went. Excuse me. I like how you went a little bit down the leaderboard. As I scroll past Lucas Glover, and I don't do the deed. You know what? I'm gonna get me. You know what, Case? I'm gonna get me some Malbon action this week. I'm gonna take Jason Day. Let's follow Jason Day this weekend. So I'll give him the heart, and I'll get
an olive branch to potential guests.
Yeah, we want to let you know that if you're open to sponsoring, we'll have you. But all right, I got Scheffler, Cantlay.
Would you wear the pants if they sponsored you? You have to wear them all year, anytime you play golf.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
absolutely.
Dave is open for business. Good to know.
Absolutely. I'm trying to on the Exit 5 podcast. We're trying to find out if I can wear somebody's hat and we can monetize a hat.
Do you want us to pay you to wear the long game hat? Do you have enough?
Well, if at the rate that you keep losing money gambling on golf, there's not going to be any budget
Yeah,
there.
that's true. Two quick things, or just two tournaments coming up that are after this. I think we're getting into that really good groove, but this tournament I don't have a lot of history with again because it was such a shit show with Bill Murray and who's leading, and it was kind of a poor field, or not a star-studded field. Now we're into this, but next week we've got the Waste Management, and then in 2 weeks we've got Riviera, which is those are two great tournaments in a row. But Mike, one of the questions for you: you're very anti kind of the drinking bro golf stuff. How do you feel about the Waste Management? Do you enjoy watching that?
Yeah, I think I think throwing beer cans is dumb. Like, and not it just I don't know. It looks like it's just
The
whole
concept
thing's
of that
dumb.
hole. The concept of that hole is pretty cool.
The concept of that hole is cool. Like, do I like the concept of a crowd? Of course. That's unbelievable. Watching people go nuts at a golf tournament when somebody hits a shot is awesome. The like the DJ and like people like pumping up the crowd is a little bit too much for me. And I'm not even like a golf purist. It's just like corny. It's just like overly done. I think like letting people be wild and cheer and like boo for shots there is all you need to make it interesting. But
and you're a big marketing guy. It's always interesting to see like those practice rounds are like, some TaylorMade will debut some new driver or whatever, and the guys are like throw them in the crowd in the practice round. So it's almost like a product launch hole in itself.
yeah,
We can get more into this next week because we'll preview
yeah.
it. And I've actually played that course before, which is interesting.
I think you need to do. I think you need to come up with. You need to bring like top three most insane moments from that hole next week, and we can discuss.
Oh well, I mean the Tiger hole-in-one is easily by.
That's what I mean. Now you got. I don't remember all these. Let's replay them.
Yep. Okay. And just because I brought up Riviera, that's going to be awesome too. Because I think we mentioned this when Tiger announced his or didn't announce his departure from Nike. Just kind of put out a weird blank statement, but he had mentioned in that statement, "See you in LA." And I don't think we've talked about Sunday Red, the logo. So that will be fun to see how he's going to debut there. If he has like a big like robe on and throws it off, he's got all the new gear. I don't know.
Hi, Riggsy. Yeah, Riggsy. I think he's playing. Like he's not just hosting; he's going to play.
Well, they haven't announced that yet, but they usually wait till a few days before to get everyone all rallied up.
So, but I mean, he's not just going to be there and like be like, "Ha, my new clothes are on me."
and is that? Wait, if I have the dates wrong, is that lining up with the Super Bowl? Did they do Saturday finish with that too?
No.
Who knows? We'll check in next week. We're getting ahead of ourselves here, but
yeah, we are.
If that's in 2 weeks, because I remember they did something with Riviera a few years ago where they were changed the time and it was more of a late finish, which is cool because it was.
Yeah, so tune in next week to see what time the tournament is.
And before we move on from PGA stuff, real quick, we should mention news kind of just came out this morning that Tyrrell Hatton is off to live. Huge loss for. I was thinking huge loss for Boston Common Golf, but why would that affect the virtual league? I don't think those two are connected. Yeah. So maybe he's still there, but yeah, the two big defections this week, and Liv's season starts this weekend. They didn't even have everything figured out till last night.
Apparently, I bet you, and Hovland is going next.
No, I think they're full. I do my best to try not to understand the format, but I guess it's all these teams of 4, and Rahm was missing one, and some other team was missing one. So that's where that guy Adam, what is his name, Moronic, whatever it was. He's
Adrian Moronk.
Yeah, there you go. Great factual podcast we have here, but he's off, and then Hatton just joined.
Look, I only subscribe. I only follow Nuclear Golf. If it ain't on Nuclear Golf, it didn't happen.
Those are friends of the pod too. We'd love to have those guys on. We'd love to hear their backstory, but
Nuclear Golf feels like it could be wrong 50% of the time, but it's like the way they deliver the news is it's like the alert emoji. They're like breaking news. Like,
well, they also have this industry where they have. This will make you laugh. They have trackers for everyone. So the Tiger tracker. They have like Tyrrell Hatton tracker, and it's got like 4,000 followers. Like who's following Tyrrell Hatton shot to shot?
And like, what's the infrastructure? Do they have this like, a team of like, all right, like, hey Bob, you manage like these 20 players. God, imagine
So
having to manage all those accounts.
we'll take you under the hood a little bit here, but we've had some conversations with the guys over there about coming on the pod, and they're just focused on growing their brand right now. But they said at
Yeah.
some point they'd like to come on and talk about it. So it would be interesting to figure out
All right. Well,
how that works. But I will
nuclear
say this.
golf. You guys have an open invite. Whoever's your copywriter, I need to talk to them.
Yep. And also, I think it was Nuclear Golf. I don't know. Maybe it's not affiliated, but I sub out of our AK viral tweet that we got followed by Anthony Kim Tracker, which is hilarious because he hasn't hit a golf shot to track in 14 years, and who knows when the next one will be. But there is a Anthony Kim Tracker ready to go whenever he plays again. But the rumor is, I guess Liv can have some single players in tournaments too. And the rumor is he may be in Liv this weekend. And we didn't touch on this, but as much as I hate Liv, it's the only place for AK, right? Doesn't make sense for him to go anywhere else.
Doesn't make any sense.
Because PGA Tour can't pay him like an upfront sum that would help satisfy the insurance money he had to pay back. And Liv can say, here's 10
you don't
million.
get paid.
Right.
He doesn't want to play. He hasn't played for whatever reason. If you go on the PGA Tour right now, you literally have to earn your money, and it's probably nerve-wracking as heck, and it would be such a spectacle. It seems to be that they're just throwing money at you. So, hey, here's 20 million guaranteed, and we get to market and promote the return of this mythical golfer. Yeah, it's genius.
But isn't it fun? Like, you won't turn it, as of right now, you're not tuning into Liv this weekend to watch Rahm, right? Like, to specifically see how he does, right? You don't care.
Are they playing? Is there a Live tournament?
Yeah, it's the season kicks off this week in Mexico.
So there tells you everything.
And tune into our Live podcast if you want us to go deeper on that.
But here's the thing. Like, I love golf, and I would enjoy watching Jon Rahm play golf.
You're not going out of your way to find it, right?
No.
Like, you're not like Rahm's debuting. I had to go. But my point is, if Anthony Kim's playing this weekend, you're going to tune in, right? Isn't that funny that Anthony Kim can move that needle, but like one of the number one or number two golfer in the world?
Yeah.
Can't.
It's interesting. I don't know any of these moves. Whatever. I'm just like whatever. They're
all going to be back together.
That's what I mean, and that's why like everyone just jumps now. So whatever.
All right. I asked you if you've been teasing this to me for a while, but to tell a story about you breaking par or shooting par for the first time, and I had something in this kind of vein too. So we're gonna go back to story time, and before we do. Any follow-up from last week's story time? Are you still a member of your club? Any fights set up? We made it out of that clean?
No, I would love. Yeah, I would love. What all the smoke you can bring it. I'll be there waiting in my Rav4 for you.
All right. If you missed last week's story time with Dave, he told a great story about storming off a golf course that you should go back and check out. But go ahead, give us story time this week.
I got all hot and bothered. Okay, so story for you this week, and this just goes into like how much is golf about mental, how much of the mental part is there really in the game of golf, and that's why it's so unique. 2 years ago, I almost said professional golf. I've got into competitive golf for the first time, meaning like started to play in actual tournaments where you have to put the ball in the hole, and if you hit it OB 3 times, you don't get to just write a number down, and playing by the rules of golf, and it's great. And I've gotten a lot better at golf over the years, but I really wanted to to me, none of that is real unless you can do it in a competitive round. Everybody's got that round. Oh, I played with my buddies and I shot 78. Like, okay, I was that guy, but I'd also always go shoot 88 and 85, and I wanted to put myself to the test and actually try to get better in a competitive environment. So all around Vermont, they have these 1-day tournaments. They're called state days, and they're not super competitive, but there is you keep the score on Golf Genius. Somebody else is keeping your scorecard. You have to post the score, and it's more of a way to get golfers around the state. You get to just go play at all these different courses that you might not be able to get on, right? And so, or just whatever. Basically, 12 times in the summer, there's a Monday tournament. There's a kind of shittier course down a couple miles away from me, and I play there every now and then. They had a tournament there on this Monday. I had just finished up playing at the club championship at the place that I played, and I played awful. Played 85, 83, 83. I was like, man, I just spent so much time practicing. I didn't get any better. Fuck this. Golf is so frustrating. I promise I won't tie my self-worth into my golf scoring, but that's how it goes sometimes, right? Yeah. And I had just felt like I was burnt out. I wasn't home a lot the last couple days because we played Friday, Saturday, Sunday. This thing was on Monday, and I was like, man, fuck this. The last thing in the world I want to go do is play more golf right now. Like, I don't want to see my clubs forever. And I was going to just cancel and not show up. And then that morning I was like, all right, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to go. I'm going to have no expectations. I drove to the course. My tee time was at 8:20. I got to the course for a tournament at 8:18. I put my shoes on. I went to the first hole. You hit an iron off the first hole. I just, all right, here we go. I hit like a 6 iron. And then I hit my approach shot to right on the edge of the cup, and I
Wow.
tapped it in. And I was walking to the second tee, and I'm like, 30 minutes ago, I was at my house being like, I'm not going to go to this thing. And like, I didn't warm up, and all of a sudden I'm 1 under, and I made a birdie on the first hole. And I was like, holy shit. I went to the next hole. I made another birdie. And I was like, okay. And I ended up making some bogeys. Long story short, I made 6 birdies on the day and 6
Wow.
bogeys on the day. And I shot even par. And then 3.5, 4 hours later, I'm standing in the parking lot, and I'm like, what the hell just happened? And that was like the most insane feeling, because I'm like, how can the same guy
Yeah.
who just shot 85 yesterday, and you were there an hour before, and you ate this breakfast, and you warmed up, today you literally strolled out of bed and you made 6 birdies today. And that to me just tells me everything about golf.
Yeah, it very reminds me of Rory at that Ryder Cup at Medina, right? I think it was Medina, where he met his wife. He rolled out of bed like 5 minutes before. He got a police. Do you have a police escort to the first tee or no? You were good.
Yeah, it's me driving 50, like, one hand on the wheel, eating a bacon, egg, and cheese.
So that's your low, right? Is that a 72?
That was, yeah, no, my low is I have two rounds under par. I've shot 1 under at 2 different courses, and that's my low. But that was the most birdies I ever made in a round. 6
Well,
birdies.
what was the second most? If 6 is your most, was this like a significantly like, was it 3 or 4, or have you been?
Yeah, I can't remember making 5. I think 4. Usually 4 is a really good round.
Yeah. This is great though. This feeds right into something I had. But real quick too, I feel like years ago, was this a couple of years ago? I feel like you told me something where on the last hole you like had a lost ball, you thought, and then you had a bunch of people helping you look for it, and you found it so you could like make the par to stay under par.
Yeah.
Is that a different story?
I shot even. Yeah, that was actually either I shot even or 1 under that, but that was a day. There was this guy at where we play, gets together like a Saturday morning game, and
Yeah.
you just get paired with 3 random guys, and you each become a team, and there's maybe 20 people in it. It was so fun. This was such a good golf story because I only knew one of the other guys in the group. And by the 18th hole, we were like best friends. And we had this bonding experience of
Yeah.
nobody else in the group was playing really well. I was just blacked out.
Yeah.
And I was like 1 under through 15. And then I couldn't find my ball in a bush. And no joke, I had 4 guys like on their hands and knees, and they were like, "We got it!" And everyone went nuts and high fived. And I ended up getting up and down from there to save par. And it was so much fun. Like, those moments are when you have a good group like that, is so much fun.
So the question I had coming off of that, which is a great story for this, is something I saw that really resonated with me, or not personally me, but a couple months ago, was, you ever see Bryson talking about learning how to shoot under par? Now, again,
Yes.
my thing is, I'm like my lowest score is a 77, so I'm nowhere near this. That was a blackout day, like you're saying, where things all just line up. I'm trying to get down from like a 9-10 handicap. But for someone like yourself, I want you to try to do it this spring. But you've seen the Bryson thing where he says you should play from the Reds, right?
I want to do this. We've talked about this. Eddie, shout out to Eddie. Eddie's listening right now somewhere. But I've wanted to do this. I'd love to take like one of my regular Wednesday games and go up to the Reds and just and try to go low. I think it's not going to be as easy as I think it is in my head, because so much of the scoring is going to happen. The short clubs are still going to be the short clubs, and that's where you score.
Yeah, and his point, and you should go find the clip if you're interested. He talks about how that's what he did. It helped him learn how to. It's a whole different game trying to learn how to score and stay under par, right?
Yeah.
And he was saying the best way to do it is move up to the Reds. Like, people think
There's
that's
actually there's a course up here. It's essentially a par 3 course, right? It's like they have a couple par 4s. It's like maybe a par 60 or something like that. And I love playing there because you just hit irons all day, and that really like teeing off with an 8-iron to a green all day makes you so much better. And I feel like
Yeah.
you learn, especially with the short clubs. So I love that idea. That would be. It's a shame we should go film. We should go film that, you and me playing for
Yeah.
minutes.
I would. Well, there'd be. It makes me really want to like. Well, I would probably rat it no matter what. But like seeing someone like you would be interesting to see. Like,
Yeah.
if you did that, if that was something you just mix into your thing, like if you play 4 times a week, you mix it in once a week. It'd be interesting to see.
Yeah.
How that
The
comes out
challenge
for them.
though is like even if I hit it good, like it's always gonna be putting. It's always going to be putting. Like
Yeah.
when I like on that day that I made 6 birdies as an example, like I hit it close a bunch of times, but like you make an unexpected 15-footer and you're just like,
Right.
shit, okay, it's going to be one of those days.
Yeah. You had to steal a few.
You guys, I love that. Steal a few. Oh,
Yeah. Well, when you're me, you're definitely stealing a few. That's funny though. It's funny you'd heard that clip too.
yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Bryson's slowly coming back into my good graces.
Yeah. I've been sending you some of the stuff. He's doing awesome. He's doing awesome, like genuinely helpful content on YouTube. He has this great video right now that he put out, which is like how to work on your game at home, and you can do it all with basically like no equipment. It's not douchey. He's just like making like genuinely helpful stuff, and it's the reason that I love Phil. I love hearing guys geek out about golf. I also sends my brain in like 50 different directions because I'm like, oh, maybe I should do that and do this and do this and do that. But I love learning that stuff.
Yeah. All right. I got to make the case, but you have some inner OBs you want to do before we wrap?
Yeah, I have 2 quick ones. One quick comment. I found I don't know if I told you this, but when I was home over Thanksgiving, I found my putter from high school, Scotty. I sent it in, and I just sent them a message to get an update on it. I sent it in December, and it's going to come back to me on April 20th.
Wow. You know, it's funny. I just saw Sergio posted a video of he sent one in like last week and it came back like a day later. They just did he may have a little more, oomph than you at this point.
So anyway, me seeing your hoodie today made me think of that. My real quick inner OB for you right now, is it in or OB to wear gear from your country club or a country club?
What was the question? Is it what? Is it douchey?
Inner OB to wear. No, you
Oh.
said douchey. I said, is it inner OB to wear branded country club gear?
Well, here's how I'll answer that. The other day I was saying to my wife, like, I think I need to get like new clothes. She goes, well, where do you shop for clothes? And I said, the pro shop usually at my golf course. So I'm going to say I'm in on that because half of the shit I own is that. I try not to wear it a lot on here to become, typecast as that guy. But it's half. I like the stuff. My course is a cool logo, but also it's half. I don't find myself in like clothing departments very often, and when I do, it's at a golf course sometimes. So I need a new jacket, I guess. Yeah.
It's like the equivalent of like wearing like a club basketball team hoodie in
yeah, I mean, do you wear like
school.
you wear stuff from college, like your college baseball stuff at all?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't.
Do you wear country club stuff?
I do, but I prefer. I think you have an awesome logo. I think like if it's a
and by the way,
logo,
this is a great logo too. Old Sandwich I'm wearing. I do not belong there. I got to someone snuck me on there once, but
we talked about that with who do we talked about JJ Redick or something like that, or you sent that article anyway.
Oh, you played like the member guest or something. Yeah,
I think something like that is great. Yeah, if it's spelled out, I don't like it. If it's a good logo, then it's in bounds for me. All right.
Does it matter if it's your club versus a different club?
No, definitely not. Like if I was a member at I don't know what's a good course, Pine Valley.
Yeah. I don't know if you can leave the course with that gear. That's so private there, though.
Like, oh, Dave, you got the Pine Valley hat? Yeah, I know a guy.
There was another inner OB that we had sent each other this week, which I think we already know how we align on it, though. But it's a good message for everyone else out there. I think it was we were talking about inner OB teeing off out of turn, which is we're both in on because keep it moving, right? There's a lot of people would be like, well, you scored better than me. It's like, get up on the tee box and hit whoever's ready golf, right? That's what we're endorsing.
Oh, drives me nuts. Yeah. Get on the tee and hit. And you're never going to offend somebody. And even if
But don't
the
do this
group
in
is
a
not
tournament, right?
slow. No, but you can also just say yes. You even in a tournament, you can be like, hey, if
Yeah.
I think it's fine. I think especially if it's like if somebody else is like has a sandwich and they're putting it down, or like especially in those situations, like you need to look around and be aware of the group and be like, hey guys, I'm just gonna go, right?
Or if someone's the scorekeeper. Yeah, exactly.
And like if you think that someone is an asshole because they went, you're an asshole.
Right. All right, I got to quick make the case. I'm going to make the case for an idea here for you. You played like myself. You played high school golf, right?
Yeah, I did.
You play 4 years, 3 years. How long? How many play?
Every year. Yeah, 4 years.
Same, 4 years. What? I think I asked you this a few weeks ago, but did your parents ever show up to the course?
No.
And what was the most amount of people ever watched you play in high school? Like, was there just like the
None.
people who were alternates and the coach, right?
Maybe none. We all could have walked in after 9 and told everyone that we shot 29, and everyone would be like, "Great."
So, like myself too, you played high school basketball, right?
Yep.
How many people would go to those games?
Well, it's a sensitive subject case, but
There'd be a lot of
50.
people, right? Oh, really?
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I mean, you can get like, but you have like your student section and stuff, right? Like we had a couple hundred people at games and stuff.
There were basketball games in high school where there were
Like big
hundreds
ones.
of people.
Right.
Yeah.
Why can't we have like high school galleries at high school tournaments? I want
Well,
like
just let everyone go, let all your friends go. That would be sick.
like the idiots who are just making inappropriate chants and stuff. Like let's have like
Oh
a
my
gallery
God.
behind 9, right? Because they don't
Yeah.
play 18. And you can walk the course like it's same rules as basketball. If you're going to start cursing in front of a bunch
Yeah.
of 16-year-olds, you're going to get kicked out. But
Right.
why
That's a great
shouldn't
idea.
there be more electric environment for like I don't even know collegiately if there's that many if they let people on there. I don't know.
No,
like
and you know
students
what?
or
It would
fans.
it'd be a fun activity. It'd be a fun activity. Like if you are in high school, would you rather go and well, maybe you're gonna go sit in a gym for 2.5 hours, or like what if you could be outside in nature, walking while cheering and rooting for your buddies? I like this case. I think you might be onto something. What do you
And I don't know
think?
if,
Why has nobody done it?
well, I think probably the biggest reason is the high schools own their gym and the high schools aren't owning golf courses, right? So you're going to have
Yeah.
to let the courses agree to let these idiots
Someone's
come
gonna
on the
have to
course.
be
I'm going to call them
responsible
idiots because I
for-
think
We've
but-
been there.
I think I'd like it more when I was on the like away. I don't know if I'd love it at home, but like I think I'd get if there was like people kind of like not heckling me, but kind of like cheering loudly against me like that. When I play in this 4-day member guest every year, we get people. We'll get like 10, 15 people following us because they're family of someone,
Yeah.
and that gets me going. Like when they start clapping too loud for my dad and I never let like we don't want anyone really to come out and follow us, but when they get these big crowds for the other people, it gets me. I don't know, you can kind of play off it a little bit, I would say, and all that stuff's kind of in your head, just made up, like, but I don't know, like you hit a bad shot and someone claps by accident and I'm like thinking this like 6-year-old woman is out for me to fail. I don't know, it
Good
lights a little
shot.
fire under you, but I think it's a good idea. Crowds at high school events.
Yeah, I like it. It'd be fun. Grow the game, Case.
I like it. Yeah.
All right. That was fun. I love catching up with you and getting to talk a little bit of golf. Next week, we got John Sherman on the pod. We're going to talk about lessons from his book, The 4 Foundations of Golf, which if you haven't read it, you got to go read it. It's super nerdy. Like if you're into golf and getting better, go check that book out. We'll talk to him next week. Case.
And he's big on like strategy, right? More than stats.
Yeah,
more
exactly.
Golf course
Exactly.
management.
So there's like strokes gained. He believes in, there are apps and stuff you can use to game improvement, but he's really just about understanding the game and how many strokes we leave out there that actually have nothing to do with swing mechanics or strategy. It's really interesting stuff. And I read his book last year and I got a bunch of stuff like highlighted in notes. And so we'll have plenty to talk about with him.
Cool. We'll have to ask him about the Bryson thing too. Playing from the Reds. I think that's
yeah, I think so. He's also a really good amateur player himself. So I'm looking forward to watching the golf this weekend. Hopefully Patrick Cantlay can get it done. And Case, I'll talk to you next week, bud.
Rory, come on, pod.
He's talking the long game.
They played the long game.
The long game gotta play the long game.
experienced and they played the long game.
No, you're talking the long game.
They're experienced and they played the long game.